So recognize this. So learn to hear in between lines when people talk to you. Listen for the hidden meanings in interactions. Learn to deal with them so you don't get into entangled relationship, because at the end of it you will feel terrible. At the end of it you will feel frustrated, terrible, and used. So recognize that. It will take a while. Why it will take a while? Let me tell you. Cross your arms, everybody. Please cross your arms. Cross your arms. Look at the way you have crossed your arms. Which arm is on the top, which is the bottom, how the fingers are, how the thumbs are. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been crossing your arms like this for most of your life. Now do it differently. Keep looking at it and do it differently. Some people rotated, came back the same way. Yeah. Huh? Some people who succeeded, how does it feel? Uncomfortable, awkward, strange. Is that correct? That, ladies and gentlemen, is the nature of habit. You are used to crossing your arms in a particular way all your life. Somebody tells you to do it differently. Even if you try, some of you by sheer force of habit come back to the same way. Some who succeed, they find it uncomfortable and therefore they give up. In the same way, when you walk through these doors to come to this lecture, with you, you've also brought a ways of relating to people. You have habits of listening, you have habits of talking, and all these habits, somebody tells you to change them, you go out of this room, acha lecture tha, nice lecture, but, you go back to your old habit. If you try, suddenly, first of all, you are feeling uncomfortable because it's something new to you. Then something else happens, and this is the second part of the bad news. People around you also feel uncomfortable when you change your habits, because they are also used to you behaving in a particular way, and our people who are closest to you, ladies and gentlemen, have emotionally invested in you. And when you suddenly change, they feel cheated. See the laughter, Hear that laugh. Huh? Something registers. Give you a simple example. I was teaching in a corporation in Chennai, and one of their directors who attended my course in stress management, he was used to driving 35 kilometers every day from his workplace to home. And his wife, Sri Devi, they all have Sri Devis for wives there. Says, okay ma, how are you today? He said, I'm very tired. He says, Sari, I get you some idli and coffee. He says, Nandri. And he will sit down and have his idli and coffee. Years of this, in my stress management course, he learned when to drink coffee, when not to. When to eat idli, when not to. How to relax while at work and not be tired. So he thought his problems had vanished. So he comes home that evening after the course. She said, how are you today? He said, I'm fine. She said, what? For years he has been saying he's tired. Now suddenly he changes his script. And she's clueless. She ignored their answer. She said, I get you some idli and coffee. And he has this Rooshikumar Pandya tape playing in his head. He said, no, not now. So what's the matter with you? Something wrong? So people who are closest to you, they also feel that you're putting demands on them to change. See, I used to do marriage counseling once upon a time in Canada. After few years of doing marriage counseling, I did a follow-up study. And to my horror, I discovered the people I counsel, they are higher divorce rate than the usual. So I thought I was doing divorce counseling. So I said, I was wondering why did this happen. Then I realized I counseled one of the parties. First of all, if one of the parties came because the marriage was on the rock, and suddenly because of this emotional growth in that person, because of counseling, that person grew farther apart. So then I made a rule for marriage counseling, both of them have to come, if it is to succeed. They might come individually, but they both have to come. Otherwise it's divorce counseling. So people have this habit. And people who are close to you have emotional investment in you. So when you decide to change, be aware of the fact that you will have to be patient with them as well. First of all, you are awkward with your new behavior, then they are awkward with your new behavior, therefore most people give up. So I'm just giving you a little warning that it's not easy. Change is difficult, but it is possible. Change is difficult, but it is possible. And that's what we are talking about. Because what I told you was the bad news, that how we are creatures of habit. But one more thing though. Evolution has taught us one thing, that huge animals have become extinct, but we have survived for one simple reason, and that is we can adapt and we can change. So I invite that ability of yours, ladies and gentlemen, to put this into practice. It will be hard. It's not easy. Can you do it? Answer is an unequivocal yes. Absolute yes. Now what we're going to do, I'm going to read some questions for you. And you're going to, in your mind, just think of where the answer is yes. And just keep a score of, you can count on that thing, how many yeses you think. If it is no, forget about it. If most of the time makes it yes, sometimes it becomes no. But answer has to be only yes or no. Are you ready? Simple little thing. Okay, I'll read a whole bunch of questions to you. Just keep record of how many yeses you get. 1. Do you buy things you really don't want because it's hard for you to say no to the salesperson? Think of yes or no. You got it? Second question. When a salesperson shows you things, do you feel like you must buy something? 3. Do you have difficulty starting conversation with a stranger? 4. Do you find it difficult to criticize a friend? 5. Do you find it difficult to compliment a friend? 6. Do you feel self-conscious when somebody compliments you? You know, Indians have this great habit. If they, we cannot take compliments gracefully as a race. Somebody says, "You're a nice shirt." "You don't like my pants?" You tell somebody, "You look good yesterday." "I didn't look good yesterday." "You look good today." "You don't look good yesterday." They always come back with something like this. You tell them you look good today. They say, "Why didn't I look good yesterday?" Instead of say thank you and end of it. We go into this. So, question 7. Do you think you are being exploited or pushed around? Yes or no? 8. If somebody breaks the line at the movie theater or restaurant, do you tell him to join the queue? 9. Do you feel dissatisfied with your social life? Whatever reason, that's not the issue. My company makes me work so much, I've heard people say that. I have no time for it. Answer is still you're dissatisfied. 10. Do you have trouble asking favors of a friend? 11. Do you get, "I should have said that kind of thoughts after a social meeting? Oh, I should have said this instead of that in your head. 12. Do you have difficulty saying no to a friend even if he's making an unreasonable request? 13. Do you think people find you boring? This is for only you to know, okay? 14. Do you have your trouble expressing your tender and angry feelings to men? 15. Do you find it difficult to maintain eye contact when talking to people? 16. Do you have trouble expressing your tender and angry feelings to women? 17. Do you have trouble asking for an overdue salary raise or an increment? 18. Do you find it difficult to speak in public? 19. Do you have fear of failure? 20. Do you feel uncomfortable when you are being watched while you are working? 21. Do you find it uncomfortable when there is a silence at a social gathering, that nobody speaks anything? Do you feel uncomfortable? When you are not the host, by the way. 22. Are you afraid of making mistakes? 23. Are you always defensive when you are being criticized? 24. Do you have trouble maintaining relationships or friendships? 25. Do you feel dissatisfied with your vocation, profession, or a job? 26. This is interesting. Do you complete other people's sentences before they can finish saying them? 27. Are you always in a hurry? 28. Do you often lose temper? 29. If somebody has borrowed a valuable thing from you, do you avoid asking for it even when overdue? And lastly, are you uncomfortable while contributing to a discussion or a debate? How many got more than 7 yeses? Raise your hand. Wow, look around, folks. India, it is non-assertive best. Good. Hope it changes as a result of these 2 hours. Because that becomes your agenda. Now, what to do? So we talked about what is the problem. We talked about why it happens. Reasons why people are not assertive, as I said. One is cultural conditioning. Then fear of being rejected. Fear of being not accepted by the society. Fear of hearing no from people. Fear of being shown up. Fear of people thinking that you are stupid. These are the reasons why we don't speak up. And these are the reasons that keep us from being assertive. So think about the reasons why you are not assertive. Now you got the agenda where you need to change. All the yes answers have to become no. And that's the agenda. Now, how to go about it? As I said, the 2 pillars on which assertiveness stands, one is behavioral psychology and second is communication. Yesterday we talked about communication. Now we talk about assertive communication. Assertive communication basically means saying, first of all, you got to know what you want to say. First of all, you have to say it clearly and precisely. Then you have to take responsibility for what you are saying. Means you use the pronoun I instead of you. That when you say this, I feel bad. Not that you told me and you were rude to me. There's a distinction. You blaming the guy that why you rude to me. So when you say that I feel bad, then you are phrasing it differently instead of accusing the person. You pointing out how you feel. So you're talking about I, you are taking responsibility for what you are saying. You also take responsibility for your action. Then you work on your body language. Assertively speaking, or from assertiveness perspective, for the purpose of body language, generally speaking, ladies and gentlemen, generally speaking, all aggressive gestures are generally above the waist level. All aggressive gestures are generally about the waist level. You point finger at people, you're pointing a finger and saying this, you are doing this, you are leaning this. When police people interrogate, they lean in the other person's space. Is it true? We got a whole lot of police officers here. That's why I'm relating it to you. So, see, each one of us requires certain space around us, which is known as, our comfort zone or elbow room, as the expression goes. When somebody invades that space, we feel offended. By space, you can also know the hierarchy. You go to any office,